What's going on, everybody? This is Chris Carter with GU Mentality Podcast. Happy y'all decided to join me today, and I'm here with the one and only Mr. Woodrow Dantzler. What's going on, man?
CC, what's happening, my brother?
I can't call it, man. I can't call it. Look, I'm really excited that you came on the show. I was just reading through your story, and I think you got some things that once people hear, they're going to be shocked. Some of the people, time goes by. Sometimes, people don't really realize some of the things that we've seen people do that's amazing. And your impact on college football, some of these youngsters just don't know. So I wanted to dive into your story. I wanted to share because some of the things that you did during that time of 1999 of the 2001, they just don't know. But I want to talk about a little bit about some of the things that, I found out just reading about you. 1999, you came in, you replaced Brandon Streeter. Fourth game against the University of North Carolina. Against Maryland, you broke Bobby Gage single game total offense record, making 16 out of 23 completions for 252 yards. And 22 carries for 183 yards, one touchdown for 435 yards. I haven't even, that's not even the tip of it. That's just the beginning.
You telling me stuff I didn't know.
Yeah, 84, the 84-yard kickoff. When I play that, y'all not gonna believe. I want y'all to see that run, and I'm gonna show you that. Also listed as the top two candidates for the 2001 Heisman Trophy. On the 8 semifinalists for 2000 David O'Brien Award, was on pace. Now, I want y'all to get this, people. This guy was on pace to be the first player in history to record 1,000 yards rushing and 2,000 yards passing. Eighth game of the season. That's when you got hurt, and we'll get into that. But man, your track record of what you did in college football, and I had a chance to see you in action. They just don't know. They just don't know. But tell me about that time, man. And I kind of want to dive into it. Let's go back to 1999. You step in, fourth game against University of North Carolina. What was going through your mind?
You know what? I don't really remember exactly what was going through my mind. I had a whole lot going through my mind. It was really first time stepping out there in that capacity because, you prepare as you're going to start anyway. But just to see one of our leaders go down, Brandon, who's been instrumental in my growth as a QB there at Clemson, to see him go down, and then now the team is looking for me to step up. It was a bunch of emotions. It's kind of surreal. It was a bunch of emotions. And it was no emotions at all. But I know that makes absolutely no sense. But that's kind of how I was. And it's just a matter of getting in there and just try to find my rhythm. I know guys are dependent on me.
Now during that time, was you always thinking, when I get my chance, it's just a matter of time, I'm going to show them what to do? Or was you kind of like, waiting for the pecking order? Because Clemson, that's cream of the crop out there.
Yeah, I never had that in my mind that, I'm just waiting until I get my chance, I'm going to show them. I had that mentality even on the practice field. Every time I stepped on the field, it's like I got to put my best foot forward. So it was never waiting to put my best foot forward. I was always putting my best foot forward, be it on the practice field, practicing, at home, thinking about going through the playbook, that sort of thing. I'm always putting my best foot forward because that's something that my dad taught me. If you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability. And I put that in everything I did, be it in the classroom or on the field or with my friends or out in the community. That's whatever I chose to do because of his instrumental leadership. That's what I strive to do. Didn't do it every time, but that was my goal.
Okay, coming out of Orangeburg-Wilkinson during that time, to be recruited by Clemson now, you got to be a top recruiter. How many schools offered you when you was coming out of Orangeburg-Wilkinson?
Honestly, I have absolutely no clue. Reason being, how, especially today, everyone is all about getting that offer, going to the next level, going to college to play ball, to ultimately go to the NFL. That wasn't a thought process of mine. It never really crossed my mind until the letters start coming through. But those weren't really offered. Those were just those questionnaires that they want to get your information. And Coach Brown did a great job of holding that stuff from us but again, recruiting wasn't that big of a thing back then.
Mm-hmm. A lot of kids today don't sometimes, like, I heard you speak at Clemson one time and you asked kids, do they know you? Then you start realizing, like, dang, these kids are like, how many years was that ago when I was here? But I just want to let them know, like, your senior year, you were 39th in passing, right? You were 43rd in rushing. You were 8th in total yards. And check this out, you was ahead of Crouch, Randall L., both whom were drafted, hitting 2,000 yards passing, something that even the number 1 overall pick, Michael Vick, never accomplished. So with those kind of stats during that time, I mean, the buzz around you, and you're getting ready to be a Heisman Trophy winner. What was that feeling like?
I'm breaking the mold. I'm shaking up a lot of stuff here because to me it was a bit aggravating because I was never that guy who I didn't pay attention to the numbers. I didn't pay attention to the rah-rah and all the hype that went around. My biggest thing was I wanted to be the best version of myself because my biggest fear, and still to this day, my biggest thing was letting people down. So if I'm on a team, I got, 10 others on the field with me, 22 on the other side on defense, but then I got almost 80, 90 something other teammates that are depending on me to do my job. So my whole focus was getting better, being the best that I could be, because I understood this is one thing I knew. If I took care of what I needed to take care of as far as keeping my body in shape, understanding my plays, being able to run the offense, if I took care of that, the athletes and the staff had no choice but to follow me. But I had to do my part in order for that to be something. So I wasn't surprised by it. I kind of almost expected it because I knew the caliber of person that I was, what kind of athlete I could be on the field. But I still need to put that work in to make sure the caliber that I had, I actually was able to measure up to it on the field. So I was too focused on getting better, never being satisfied. Because Coach Brown used to say it all the time: either you're getting better or you're getting worse.
Yeah,
you don't stay the same.
You said something just now that you didn't want to let them down, guys on your team. What created that kind of drive in you?
What we do here is go back.
To where it was like, I got to do this because I can't was that always driving you even as a little kid playing football, or what created that kind of inside?
That's a great question. I don't know. I'm just going to put that, to God. He must have put that in me, and then seeing that in both my mother and my father, and then having some great instrumental role models throughout the way. Coach Brown played a big role in that. Coach Norman, they played a big role in that. Go Hagen played a great role in that, just as far as really fostering that team mindset, team first. You're part of a team. Everyone plays a vital role in this thing called football team. So with my parents and those vital coaches that I've had growing up, they played I think they kind of still that. Plus, I think it's just a natural thing that God placed in me to always want to serve, always want to help people, always want to be there for somebody else. Never want the spotlight, but always want to make sure everyone else got what they deserve.
Do you think, even during the time with having that mentality, was it ever hard? Like, I know you just said you didn't really pay attention, but was it ever a point in your time where you even looked at where it was even hard to take the compliments from people when they say, "Man, you really good," or you're doing something?
I couldn't stand it.
Didn't stand
it. Yeah, I won't say I couldn't stand it, but yeah, it did. It made me feel awkward. Because I don't know how to respond to it. And I know they don't mean anything by it. I mean, they're being genuine, and I understand that. I'm not, saying that they were wrong for doing it. It's just I didn't know how to respond. I felt awkward hearing that. I didn't know how to take it. I didn't know what to do with it. So I guess just trying to say thank you or saying something, even that came across awkward.
But, with that being said, because I run across some kids sometimes that they have the ability now. They have the ability to play, and you compliment them. You tell them that they can be a player. And I take for example, I had a kid back in it was 2013. Really good player, but the more it was like he didn't take the compliments, but if you said he couldn't do it, or if you doubted him, it was like it created something in him that will want to.
Yeah, I know that one too.
That gear. Would you say you was like that a little bit?
Yep, very much so. That's kind of one of the things that spearheaded me coming out of high school, because they kept saying that I couldn't play quarterback on the next level. I had people from different schools, not naming any names, they would actually call me, left message on the answer machine about switching positions coming out of high school. Wow. And the fact that people were saying that I couldn't do it, pushed me to work that much harder. It focused me even that much more to get out there and prove them wrong. So yeah, I could understand that drive. I could understand that mentality because I've lived it.
Yeah, and a lot of kids experience that, and especially was it D1 schools that were telling you that?
Yeah.
That for somebody to tell you can't do something because of your size, or is that something you say like you've heard that, but was it only in high school, or was that something you heard all your life? Like, you're too small to do this.
Yeah, definitely. I heard that coming out of it, going into the league as well. They said my arm wasn't strong enough. They said I wasn't accurate enough. Obviously, they were saying I wasn't tall enough. They even went so far and said, well, my hands are not big enough. I'm fumble. You'd be more prone to fumble the ball, but your hand's not big enough. Crazy stuff like that. So yeah, I heard it all my life, but then, I get into the league, and yes, I went in as a running back, undrafted free agent, made the team play, but even, I had a couple of coaches give me packages at quarterback, and to hear the coaches and my teammates, oh man, I never threw the ball like that. Oh, I didn't ever get I did it pretty much most of my life. It was just interesting, but by the time I went into the league, I was on a whole different plane when it comes to, so I didn't have that chip on my shoulder. I didn't do my Lamar Jackson. I'm a quarterback. Which, big support to him for that. But for me, it was a different thing happening at that time. So I was willing to switch over because there was a different plan happening.
Yeah. Now, just listening to you, like, saying all that now, and we talked a little earlier, and I asked you what was some of the hardest things. I kind of see where you're coming from, but you made a statement to me earlier when you talked about accepting love, and a lot of kids, a lot of people today have a problem with accepting that. Or if they get it, they feel like it's some type of angle you're coming at with me.
Yeah.
So can you explain like a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I'll dig into that because I almost missed out on the most wonderfulness, if that could even be a word, the best gift that God could create for me, my wife.
Wow.
For the fact of not wanting to accept love, because growing up, and everything you talk about with these kids and these individuals, you gotta be mindful of the environment they grew up in. The environment that I grew up in, yes, my mother and father was always in my life, but we were all in the house together because they separated when I was in middle school. When we were together, I can remember every night I could hear them fussing and fighting, fussing and fighting, fussing and fighting every night. Before my mom went to work, my mom worked third shift for 30 plus years. My dad was disabled from Vietnam. They were always constantly arguing and fighting. Then I heard that, my grandfather, because my dad always accusing my mom of cheating. And then I heard my grandfather was doing the same thing with my grandmother.
Wow.
So it's like, and I'm the third. So it's like, in my mind, it was like, if this was marriage is like, if this what love is about, I want no parts of it. So all throughout my life, I had girlfriends in high school, but if I even felt like I was kind of getting something like called feelings, I'm shutting down, I'm breaking it off. I'm not dealing with it because I don't want none of that. Even through college, even through college.
Feeling like he would even knock you off focus too. Did you ever feel like even it would not, like, that's going to mess me up?
that's gonna mess me up because I'm gonna end up, because you think about the physical. It wasn't physical, but just the emotions behind it.
Yeah.
Emotional abuse can be more draining than the physical abuse because after the physical part, you can heal from that, but that emotional stuff, it takes so much longer. It's so much deeper and it's harder to overcome. Like I said, it took me all the way through college, and praise God that my wife was willing to stick behind me. I mean, not stick behind me, but stick with me and
Mm-hmm.
push through and persevere through my foolishness. Not like I did it wrong, or anything, but she was able to push through it. And, we were able to get married. But I mean, it's just one of those things of being able to push through that and receive that. Then you found out that, this is not how it has to be. I could change the narrative.
What you're talking about, a lot of grown men have that problem now, and it's hard for them to even get, like, what did it take you to remotely begin to break down that kind of wall? Because when a man got that kind of wall, that's a hell of a wall to break down now.
Yeah.
So what because it's always somebody, and see, here's the beautiful thing about this. I had a buddy of mine on last week, and I was talking to him, and Kev, and we were talking about just mental stability within the Black culture, the Black men, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a lot of stuff is not even talked about. Like, it's,
right.
We always talk, be tough, damn, suck it up, be a man, and they don't tell us that. And so, a lot of guys are dying with heart attacks at them 45 years old because they don't go there and they don't hear that. But for Woodrow Dantzler, okay, this is a guy that's on the spotlight, you're in front of everybody, but then you tell me, okay, my thing is I had a
embracing the embodiment of Jesus Christ. That's what it truly took. And then not only, reading through his word, allowing him to reshape me, remold me, and make me into who he called me to be, but actually kind of my wife allowing him to shine through her to show me that no, that's not how it was. That was a deviation from my plan. That's the deviation from what I call marriage. Marriage is not that. This is what marriage is. You start to read his word. And now not only am I reading his word and I'm around other men who are speaking this into me and teaching me something different, but then having, before she was my wife, showing me what vulnerability is, showing me what unconditional love is, on this earth, outside of Jesus. So it was that, but it was really the word of God piercing my spirit, piercing my heart, breaking down those walls, peeling off those layers, and then not only peeling it off, but then pushing me into it. It got to a point where you just couldn't deny it.
Yeah. And and of course this too, and I'm always around, in football, it's macho game. It's coaches get together, everybody's beating their chests, talking about, but the thing about the real talk, like this, like the real talk, right. I think this is what a lot of men, a lot of guys need. And it's just that creating the atmosphere, breaking the wall down. It takes guys to say, hey, I'm here, but at the same time, I go through stuff. I still go through stuff, but I made it out of this. And I can tell you, even though you're going through that, you're going to make it out of it. Like right now, you could look back at Woodrow Dantzler 15, 20 years now from this age and say, all right, man, look, this is what you're going through. But what you know now, the advice you would give him would be, if you had to talk to him now, what would be that advice? Because that's the advice that the Woodrow Dantzler that age may be another kid sitting in a college dorm room that's watching this. So if this is Woodrow now talking back to the young, what would be your advice to that guy?
You got to learn. One of the things, honestly, I probably wouldn't want to give myself any real advice because I would want myself to go through that stuff because it's what shaped and molded me into the person that I am. But I probably would sneak in a little word of redefine your definition of strength.
Mm-hmm.
because that's what a lot of people we get the wrong definition of a lot of things, of what a man is, of what strength is. Actually it's a sign of weakness to put this wall up and be
Mhm.
macho. That's a sign of weakness. It takes a strong man to admit his faults. It takes a strong individual, not just man, it's a strong person, period, to admit their faults, to be vulnerable, to admit when they're wrong, to admit that they got some stuff to work on. It takes a strong individual. Now, on the flip, like I said, on the flip side, it's a weak man who can't do those types of things. So you have to redefine and relearn a lot of stuff that we were taught in our communities, in our household, what we witnessed in our environments. So that's one thing I probably slide in there. You know, don't just take someone's word for it. Learn it for truth. Learn the truth for yourself. If it lines up with what the advice you've been getting, then okay. But if it doesn't line up, you know, leave that advice alone. So that's probably one thing. Discover truth for yourself.
Okay. So now let's fast forward to Woodrow Dantzler day. Like what's going on with you today? Like what are you doing? How are you affecting the community today? Like
I was gonna throw my little joke in that I always say, but I'm gonna leave that one over here. But no, I'm in sales now, so I've been legally selling drugs for about 8 years now. So I'm in pharmaceutical sales. So that's what I've been doing here lately. But also, I have a business where I go out and I do speaking, professional speaking. I ran away from the term motivational speaker because motivation is good, but what happens after the motivation is gone? After motivation, you need inspiration. So I need to inspire. I speak to inspire people to be the best version of themselves. So that's part of my speaking there. That's what I really do. And I got some community works that I'm in the works with. Working with the police department, and my biggest thing is working in the educational system. I want our kids to begin to be trained how to learn information and apply it to the right situation, not memorize information to regurgitate it and pass a test. And that's a big issue with education system that I see right now. So that's something I've been working on here lately. And when I'm not doing that, basically my full-time job is being a husband and a father. I got 2 girls. Got one leaving in August, about to go to college.
uh-oh.
In August. So yeah. Matter of fact, she's pulling up now. She just got finished with tumbling practice. She's pulling back up in the garage. But yeah, family man first.
Mm-hmm.
Serving at the church, serving my community, and like I said, working and doing my speaking. That's kind of what keeps me busy.
So if you look back and you talk about your life growing up as a kid in the house, and now you're a dad now. It's do you ever just look at yourself sometime and just be like, wow, like, because just talking to you, it seems like you want to be the best dad you possibly can be to your kids.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I mean, talk about that because a lot of men, they have fathers in their life and they have that, but sometimes I always say we were raised in the don't cry era. Don't cry.
Yeah.
Be tough. And now I see more fathers where they're saying, you know what, I'm gonna show my emotion to my kid. I'm gonna let my kids. I'm gonna say I love you. I'm gonna give them a kiss on the cheek. Back then, some pops, they just didn't know how to do that. So their "I love you" was, "All right, there, boy," hit you on the shoulder. You know what I'm saying? That was their way of showing it. So do you ever look at yourself and just kind of be like, wow,
Yeah, I do. Honestly, I take that back. They keep me so busy, I don't have time to look back. But nah, I'm a firm believer that each generation must set the next generation up to go further. Mm-hmm. So I learned from my father. I mean, my father was a great mentor to me. He was the one who taught me how to think, because he would always be the one when I asked a question, he would never answer it. He would ask me a question. And now I've learned that what he did with that, he was teaching me how to think for myself, how to process information, and how to find out things for myself. Now, if he needed to, he saw he needed to, he would step in, he would actually give me information give me a straightforward answer. But for the most time, he made me go search for it for myself. That's kind of what I like to do with my kids. I like asking them questions. They hate me for it, just like I hated my dad for it. Or the new term now, since they got phones, go look it up. That's my favorite term right there. But yeah, I do want to show them, it's not just, back in the day, most fathers showed their love by going to work, making sure the bills are paid, food in the house, and that sort of thing. That's how fathers show their love.
Okay.
Now, as we mature, I'm doing both sides. I'm doing the love through emotional, but I'm also doing the financial support as well. So,
okay. Let me ask you, as far as today, if you was given, a kid today some advice as far as what's your message to kids now?
my main message it's twofold. One is, there's greatness on the inside of you, because when you consider the creator and how you were created great. You were created with everything in you to be able to do what you've been called to do. And the second part of that is what you have to choose to unlock that greatness. You have to choose to go through the process to perfect that greatness. And you have to choose to be willing to walk through that greatness all the days of your life. It's a choice. So that's the main message. Everything is a choice. You can't control everything. You can't control all that happens to you, but you can't control how you respond. So whatever you can control, that's what you control. But if it's out of your hands, you let that go. You don't let that hold you back. You just control what you can control and trust the process and push to unlock the greatness on the inside of you, because it's there.
Yeah. And that's big. That key word, I heard Nick, process. Man, I that's my message to every kid, and you hit down the head. Process. Everybody got a different process, and you got to go through the process. And the process may not be what you intended on it being, but the
process ain't pretty now.
yeah, the process is not. But you got to go through it. And some people they don't want to go through the process. Like, for instance, they look at Woodrow Dantzler and they look at what he's done on the field. They look at him now. They say, you know what? I could do what he does. And my thing, like I say, anytime I hear somebody say that, I say, go ask that man what it took to be him. Just tell him, I want you to go ask him everything he went through from a kid to now. And then if you want to go through that, you can be him. But you got to go through anything he lost, anything he went through, anything you got to do, it got to be the same thing, because everything that he had in his life shaped him to who he is today.
Exactly.
And some kids, when they, even some adults, when they hear that, it's like, they start thinking about it and they realize, I may not want that blessing, because I don't know what that blessing cost that person, so that's something.
Yeah.
So now I gotta jump on a lighter subject. It's 2021, and I looked up some crazy facts, man, and I want the people to know this. In today's time, the NFL draft, if Woodrow Dantzler was coming out now, would he be a number 1 draft pick? And I gotta tell you, I gotta tell you this. Now, I want the people to understand this. Woodrow Dantzler was ahead of his time. The NFL adopted the spread offense. Dak Prescott, Dallas, similar rankings. 20th. You were 20th. Prescott was 16th. Russell Wilson is probably the closest you're built. He's 5'11", you're 5'10", mobile. But Wilson didn't crack 60% until his senior season. Now y'all got to take into account, this guy played, I'm talking about Woodrow Dantzler, the guy right here. He played 2 seasons and then he got hurt. Now let's Kyle Murray, who was a number 1 draft pick. Mobile quarterback, Woodrow Dantzler, mobile quarterback. Kyle Murray, spread offense. Woodrow Dantzler, spread offense. Kyle Murray, 5'10". Woodrow Dantzler, 5'10". Therefore, if Woodrow Dantzler was coming out in today's NFL draft, he would be the #1 overall pick, and he'd be getting a yogurt deal right now. That's how cold this guy was. I want y'all to know, I want y'all to go to YouTube, because I'm telling you that, and I'm going back. I want y'all to go to YouTube. I want y'all to type in Woodrow Dantzler, Clemson, and then I want y'all to type in one more thing on this. I want y'all to type in this because this is. I looked at this 1,000 times. I had to look at this one because I was like, oh my God. Woodrow Dantzler, 84-yard touchdown kickoff against San Francisco. I want y'all to go back and watch that run. That's this guy right here. And not only that,
oh man,
I want him also to take from it that the same guy you see on YouTube, the same guy you see right there is standing in front of you and also telling you about the things he had to also overcome. So I don't want you to get enamored, this all engulfed into what the football, because the football is amazing. But I also want you to listen to the message about what he said made him the man he is today. Because that's something that I can take from it, and everybody that listens to this podcast is going to be able to take from it, is he had to go through something. He went through a process, and he came out. Now, none of us are finished products until the good Lord called us home. But the thing about it is that he also had to go through a process, and you're going to have to go through a process. Mr. Dantzler, I want to thank you for joining.
Let me say this real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on what you say about that kick return that you're telling them to go watch with the Cowboys. And this is just a message in the video. I want everyone to know, when you go watch that video, I went the wrong way.
What?
The run was supposed to go to the left. I cut back to the right because I thought I saw a hole. I made a mistake. I was wrong. But guess what? Here's the thing. Here's the message. I didn't quit. I didn't stop. I kept pushing, and I found my way to the end zone.
Oh,
I had a lot of bumps. I took a lot of hits from going the wrong way, but I recovered.
Wow.
And I got to the zone. So I just want to throw that in there.
Wow, that's a nugget within itself, man. But again, I want to thank you for joining the GU Mentality Podcast. The GU Mentality Podcast, we bring you real people with real stories about overcoming obstacles in their life to achieve the goals that they wanted to achieve. And no, it wasn't easy, but the one thing you notice that most everybody comes on this podcast is they just didn't quit. They didn't give up. Though it was hard, though the process may or not look like they were going to come out like they thought they were, but you know what? They made it through. And they're telling you their story. So now when you see the things they've accomplished, you also know that they had to go through something in the process of getting there. And they had to endure their process, just like you're going to have to endure your process. Again, this is Chris Cotto with GU Mentality Podcast. I'm out.